How is it going, everybody? We're doing a little bit different this week. It is a live show here, and it's going to get archived, obviously, and put onto YouTube here. But we only got a couple hours, so I figured let's do it live. Let's get it rolling. We're going to do a little bit of a weekday recap, talking about the games that have already happened. We're going to do rapid previews as well, talking about all the games that are ahead of us today and the impact that it's going to have on conference championship races in all 10 conferences. So we're going to go conference by conference and talk about the conference championship scenarios. Now, we are going to start with the rapid recap of the weekday games. But first, you can find me on Twitch. I will normally live stream on Twitch when I'm recording the video, so hop over there. You can also find me on Twitter at bash_CFB and on TikTok, Bash the CFB Show. It is right there. And comment, like, and subscribe because opinion plus discussion equals community. That's our little saying around here. We're going to keep it up. As you can see the blanket back there, I was lazy when it came to that. I was using it while preparing for that video that I made last night and totally forgot when I was waiting to upload it. Totally forgot to put it away. So we're going to talk about the games that have already happened, starting with, and we're going to go conference by conference, starting with the ACC, who just had Miami-Boston College, a rather insignificant game. Miami blows out Boston College to be able to have a little bit of a successful season. But in the American Athletic Conference, a game that had conference implications here, UTSA and Tulane played, and Tulane was able to get a big-time victory. If SMU were to go on to win today against Navy, we will see SMU versus Tulane. If not, we will see a rematch between UTSA and Tulane. But a great game, and my bad on that, I bumped the microphone. A great game for the UTSA, for the Tulane Green Wave. You watch this game, and they just dominated from start to finish for the most part. Definitely not deserving to be on the same field. I'm curious how a rematch would go next week. Oklahoma yesterday disposed of TCU 69-45. This game was never really close. A lot of offense was definitely played. Josh Hoover went absolutely crazy. This Oklahoma defense continues to look sketchy, but just win, baby. That's their only mentality because they're in the thick of the Big 12 race. We'll talk about it later as Texas locked up the spot in the Big 12 with a big win, 57-7 with a late touchdown over Texas Tech. We got to see Arch Manning's debut. Nothing happened in the Conference USA yesterday or during the week, so we're going to move on from that conference. And we have MAC, nothing really impactful. I mean, Ohio ended up winning against Akron. Toledo punches their ticket to an 11-win regular season, 11-1, winning their last 11 games as they beat up and dispose of Central Michigan 32-17. We will see later on Miami, Ohio play on the road at Ball State, the representative of the Eastern Division in the MAC for the conference championship that we're going to see next week. How about the Mountain West? What is going on out there? Well, the Mountain West, of course, getting rid of divisions. We have a game today between UNLV and San Jose State that will decide a spot in the conference championship game against unsuspecting Boise State. Early on, it seemed like Air Force Wyoming and Fresno State would all be the favorites, but all three have kind of fallen off. There is no path for any of them to get in. Boise State is – now, we're going to get into three-way tie scenarios here, and here's basically what happened. Boise State beat San Jose State, and they did not play UNLV. So I do not truly know what the tiebreaker is going to be in the Mountain West. The easiest way to solve this is if UNLV wins today and we get UNLV versus Boise State in the Mountain West Championship, but we'll see how that all plays out. Oregon ends up punching their ticket into the Pac-12 Championship with a win, as that eliminates Arizona, because no matter what Washington does today, they're going to be in the Conference Championship as the number one seed, by the way. So we will see Washington versus Oregon next week, no matter what. Hopefully it's a top 5 matchup after the game between Ohio State and Michigan later on today. Speaking of that, by the way, I did skip the Big Ten. Iowa, who had already punched their ticket, ends up getting the win against Nebraska to get to 10-2, 13-10. They really should be 11-1 after they got absolutely jobbed by the refs in the game against Minnesota, in my personal opinion. And Penn State, by the way, disposing of Michigan State, showing improvement with Jawan Sider on offense. 42-0 against the Michigan State Spartans. The SEC is already decided coming into the week, but Missouri locks up a 10-2 season, and so does Ole Miss. Both teams are going to be very much in the hunt when it comes to a New Year's Six bowl. Maybe both of them can lock up a New Year's Six bowl. We're just going to have to see. I think that if Alabama and Georgia are both featured in the playoff, which I highly doubt is going to happen, I think that both of those teams will be able to get in. So now we go to the rapid previews. We're just going to talk about different scenarios that are playing out. Louisville and Florida State are already locked in. They both play out-of-conference games, but against Florida and Kentucky. I think that both underdogs, Florida and Kentucky out of the SEC, have a decent chance of being able to knock it off. And I actually like Kentucky in that game to be able to knock off Louisville. They have their number. Like I mentioned in the American, the big game that everybody needs to be watching out for, if Navy can pull off the upset on the road at SMU, then we're going to see a rematch of UTSA Tulane. That game is not expected to be close. It's 19.5-point spread, but we'll see what ends up happening there. Oklahoma State hosts BYU, a BYU team that has fallen off completely, has not played great football as of late. They're currently sitting at 5-6, trying to get the bowl eligibility. Oklahoma State comes in as a 17-point favorite. If the Pokes win that game, they will play Texas next week. And I'm kind of rooting for that because we haven't seen a matchup between the Pokes and the Longhorns this season. In the Big Ten, it's already decided outside of the fact that we have the game. I'm going to give you my prediction for the game right now. You see my stuff. You see I'm wearing Ohio State. I think Ohio State has a great path to victory, and I think Ohio State has a good chance to win. However, Michigan looks like they have the slightly better defense. They have the slightly better quarterback. That's as much as I'm going to break it down because you just never know what could happen in this game. I'm going to say Michigan wins the game 20-17. But anything could happen, and I'm hoping that that does not happen. And I'm hoping we get something like this, but maybe not the heart attack that was. So I don't know, man. I'm just excited for the game, and I'm hoping we can pull out a dub. I don't really care about predicting the game, but gun to head, if my life depended on it and all I had to do is say in the most genuine, honest prediction, 20-17 Michigan wins is my genuine, honest prediction. We already have the Conference USA set up, but Jacksonville State going to be playing for a little bit of pride at New Mexico State today because they're going to try to go 9-3, and with a win over New Mexico State, they will place second in the Conference USA in their first year. Great season for Rich Rod's squad this year. I don't know what else to tell you. Oh, excuse me. I don't know what else to tell you there. Miami, Ohio, like I said, they're already locked in to play Toledo next week, but they do play at Ball State this week. We already talked about it. UNLV versus San Jose State. If I had to pick who's going to win, I'm going to trust that this is a shootout. In fact, this is not on walk that line at all, but the over-under's at 58.5. I like the over in this game. This San Jose State team, after starting off very poorly, has been amazing in conference play, and I kind of expected that to be the case, but I think UNLV is the better team, and I think UNLV gets a very awesome but quiet 10-win season here in the Mountain West and goes to the conference championship as probably the favorites, by the way, over Boise State. In the Pac-12, we already got it locked up. Oregon versus Washington next week, but Washington needs to complete this perfect undefeated 12-0 season to be in that playoff thick next week because I think they would be left out if they were to lose this week and beat Oregon for a second time next week. So it is very important that they win that game. We'll see what ends up happening with Arizona with their conference championship hopes ripped away as they go out to Tempe to play their arch rivals. We already know what the case is in the SEC, but the interest here, like I said, is not with an SEC team vying for a spot in the conference championship, but a team that's locked into another conference championship. Florida State and Florida, both backup quarterbacks in the game. I am curious to see how that one takes place there. And also, I'm going to kind of I think Florida has a good chance to win that game and almost save Billy Napier's job, or at least save the hot seat conversations. If they beat Florida, that is massive there. And then finally, the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt is a little bit of an interesting case study because JMU is at the top of the East. However, JMU is not eligible. So it's down to Appalachian State or Coastal Carolina. James Madison, who lost to Appalachian State, plays on the road at Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina beat Appalachian State earlier in the year in Conway. And so we have this situation. If James Madison goes on the road to the surf turf, I don't know why I was about to say Smurf turf, that's Boise, surf turf, and beats Coastal Carolina, and App State takes care of Georgia Southern, then you have a situation where App State goes and plays up against Troy, who already locked the West. If both teams lose, though, you could potentially have a three-way tie in the Sun Belt with Old Dominion. However, if you look at what Old Dominion has done this year, Old Dominion earlier on in the season beat Appalachian State, but they lost to Coastal. Coastal would have lost to Old Dominion, but beat App State. So what is this going to come down to? Division record? Well, let's see here. What's their division record? It doesn't say here on ESPN. That's annoying. We're going to have to see this other three-way tie scenario play out if both teams lose. Of course, App State is favored in that game. Coastal is an underdog against James Madison. It should be fun. So now we're going to do Walk That Line. And like I said, this is going to be a little bit quicker. It's a live stream. It's going to be a quicker video. Here's the Walk That Line segment, though, today. Texas A&M plus 13 against LSU. I think they're going to put up some points. I think they're going to keep it tight against LSU. Kentucky in a rivalry game that they've had Louisville's number. I like Kentucky to win outright. Definitely give me plus 8.5. Ohio State, Michigan under 46. I think they clear this number for sure. These two defenses are two of the best in America, and Virginia Tech. But again, you also never know what could happen in this game. Virginia Tech minus 2.5. I just think they're significantly better than Virginia. Virginia's a little bit in shambles, and Virginia Tech's going to be up for that one for sure. Maryland, Rutgers. I think Maryland, their Super Bowl was last week beating Michigan. They're going to be a little bit down, especially offensively. So Rutgers is going to be able to take advantage of that on defense, and I think this is a very low-scoring battle under 44.5. Alabama, I think they dominate Auburn today. Auburn's just in shambles right now. I'm hoping to see a close game, though. I'm hoping this is wrong, but I also hope to win this one. Arizona State plus 13. I think they keep it close with Arizona after all their hopes were dashed. Are they going to take out their frustrations on Arizona State, or are they going to kind of walk through the motions of that game? Then you got New Mexico State. Oh, did I skip one? No, I didn't. Then you got New Mexico State plus 3. They're on the road, or they're at home, against Jacksonville State. I just like how New Mexico State's playing. I think they have more momentum than they're having a letdown spot from the Auburn trip last week, beating Auburn by 21 points. I just think that was a legit win, and I think they're going to be able to show up. This is also going to be a low-scoring game. Both these teams play ball control and great defense. It'll be very interesting. Florida plus 6.5. I think this comes down to the wire. Came down to the wire last year. It'll come down to the wire again this year. Florida, I think, is improved despite their not improved record from a year ago. So we'll see how this game goes. And then Georgia disposes of Georgia Tech. Their most fun tradition the last few years is beating up on the Yellow Jackets at the end of the year. Minus 24, take it. They win by 30 plus in that game. But Rivalry Week 2023 is going to be fun. I'm going to have reaction videos to make up for my inactivity this week. It will not be in live stream format. It will be in video format. But thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Have a great rivalry game. Go Buckeyes.